A very good morning to everyone. Welcome to our daily devotion. Today we'll be looking at Psalms chapter 90. So turn to your devices, either Bible, digital or physical, whichever to your comfort, and let's get into it. First, we look at the brief context of the verse chapter before we delve into a small reflection. So, in this psalm, in the beginning, the psalmist talks about how God has sent Israel into exile as punishment, and then he knows that the people are guilty. Now he knows that God hasn't just punished them for the sake of it, but he knows that the people of Israel are guilty, and he goes on to say how God has become, in a sense, the destroyer, that God has raised nations against Israel time and time again. And then he goes on to say how God has made Israel, who now seem unfazed by the continuous exiles. So it seems the psalmist is saying that it's become like a routine for Israel, that they don't seem to be much affected by that. Oh, it's another exile, here we go again, per se, that kind of attitude. And then as we go further down the line, he says that even though the people deservedly are suffering, he says he cannot bear to watch the people suffer any longer, and that the exile has dragged on for 70 years, as we know. And he says that in light of the people's guilt, he hopes that the people finally throw themselves onto God's mercy. He asks for God for his compassion, and he asks God to be compassionate to the people of Israel. And finally, he ends by saying that he wants the future generations to see that God's compassion will far outlast the days of his anger and punishment. So that's how it ends, and that's roughly what goes on in the chapter. So what can we take away from this? Now, first of all, what we can take away is that through the ending we can see that in Psalms verse 12 he says, teach us to number our days that we may gain a heart of wisdom. This is the verse we are going to focus on. Verse 12, teach us to number our days so that we may gain a heart of wisdom. So first of all, there's twofold things we have to note it down. First, teach us to number our days. What is he saying there? He says that our life is very short compared to eternal God, per se. That our life is very short. That knowing that life is short, it should change how we live, and it should teach us to focus on what truly matters. It's simple, really, isn't it? Like, look into our own lives, for example. Like, looking back, there will be so many instances where we are filled with regret, and we would have wished we had done things so differently in our lives. That's how life is. Like, it's so short. Like, a year flies by, even a few decades could fly by, and then you look back, it just feels like yesterday you were like 10 years old, or you were just going to school. So life is so short that we have to make it count. We have to make it count. So teach us to number our days. That's the first part. Second, so that we may gain a heart of wisdom. Now, how do we gain a heart of wisdom? First, let's look at why should we gain a heart of wisdom. We should gain a heart of wisdom so that we can make the limited time that we have here count. We should gain a heart of wisdom so that the limited time that we have on earth can count. And secondly, how can we gain a heart of wisdom? You cannot gain a heart of wisdom on our own. We cannot say, as I grow old, I'll get experience and then I'll gain more wisdom. But no, it doesn't work like that. How we can gain a heart of wisdom is, we learn that by only God's gracious wisdom that we can make a few days count. So first we learn that we have very limited time, and in that limited time we have to make our days count. And how do we make our days count? We make our days count by asking God to give us the wisdom to live each and every day glorifying his name and living as a true and good witness to him. Okay, we go about our day asking God for his wisdom to make each day count, and at the end of it we have to be a wonderful witness to God's own glory. So this is what we can take away from this. So end this devotion with a small question for you guys to reflect on. So, are you using your time wisely? Are you using your day-to-day life, day-to-day routine to the best of your ability, in the sense that it glorifies God, in the sense that you are living a godly life? There are elements that you feel like if you cut it off, you will be living a more godly life. Reflect on that and then make the necessary adjustments that you feel you can do to live a more godly life. Thank you.